What's up, guys? Back at it again with another video, part 2 of the Miata. We got the head back from the shop. Well, the new head. I still need to replace some gaskets. We're gonna replace the thermostat. I'm just gonna clean up the surface of the deck. I have new water pump, head gasket, intake and exhaust manifold gaskets, camshaft seals. So we've got everything, so it's gonna be smooth sailing basically. So it looks okay. I'm going to brake clean it down and wipe it off and make sure everything's clean. Pull the water pump, replace the water pump with the new one and the gaskets, and then basically it's just going to be reversal of the install or of the tear down. So put everything back on how you got it off. So let's get cracking. Alright, so I got the water pump off. You also had this crossover tube that goes to the heater core from the water pump. This rubber O-ring, like most Hondas on the back of the water pump, this goes right into here, and that feeds back to the heater core, or from the heater core. So that was kind of a pain to get out, but it's out now. We just gotta move over this tube to the new pump, and yeah, and then install it back on. New gaskets, should be good. Alright, looks like we have the water pump gasket, coolant housing gasket that goes to the heater core, and then the new O-ring, yep, for this pipe. Now it doesn't look like it needs changed, but I don't know when it's been changed and it feels a little bit hard, so I'm just gonna pull it off and replace it anyways. So, out with the old and with the new. Boom, like that. Gasket, like this, and it bolts right up. Alright, I just cleaned up the surface with some brake clean. I'm just gonna feed them into the gasket real quick, make sure they line up. Alright, cool. Got the new water pump on. Everything water pump wise is hooked up. Got the new head over here. I had to put on the gasket for this side O-ring, but I didn't get a new one, so I'm just gonna I bought some RTV, some coolant RTV. And I'm going to use just a light film on that because it wasn't leaking before, so I don't think it will leak. And then there's a gasket for this side, so I'm going to pull those two off, put the gasket, put a little bit of RTV on that side, and then replace the thermostat. And then we're pretty much ready to put the head on the block. But then we can set the block to top dead center, put the head on the block, and go from there. I also got a new hose for this because this one was expanded a little bit. It's a heater core hose. I didn't want it to burst. And plus it's on the back side of the head, which is even more of a hassle to get to, so I just got a new one for him, so we're gonna place it and not have any issues. You can see how bad this thing was. If he sees any type of overheating temperature, this thing probably would have exploded. So good thing we got him a new one. And you can see what I was talking about. It has this like O-ring. Now it didn't leak in the last head, but I'm just gonna put a little bit of coolant RTV and hopefully it doesn't leak. I don't think it will, but we'll find out. All right, a little bit of RTV, water pump thermostat housing RTV. This will help with more with coolant. You never want to put too much. You don't want this stuff going into the cooling system at all. Perfect. Alright, I got the thermostat off, but it looks like I forgot to get this gasket, so I have to run to the store, grab that gasket. Once I have that, basically put the camshaft seals in, put the cam gears on, and put the head on. So I'm gonna go pick up that gasket. I'll be right back. Alright, I got another gasket. Cleaned off most of the gasket material, all of it basically. I'm ready to put the new thermostat in.
Boom. Bop. Bam. Boom.
Oops, wrong way. Alright, here's where it gets tricky. Now usually you take the cam seals and you would put them on the cam, and then you would like bolt this camshaft down. But this is all pre-torqued. It's all basically ready to go. So I'm just going to slide the camshaft seals on and then slide them into the space where they're supposed to go. So that's good. And then I should just be able to either push it in or like tap it in with something. Okay, got the cam seals in. It went in pretty easy. I just used a extension and just tapped it in and like slowly worked it around and drove them in. All right, I got the engine at top dead center. I have the dowel pins in. I have the head gasket on. We are ready to put the head on. When you go to torque the head down and you put the studs in, you want to oil the studs, but first you want to make sure that any of these stud holes are not filled already with oil. That could give you a false torque, which can make the head gasket not torqued enough, which could cause a failed head gasket or a leak or anything, something like that. So what you want to do is, if you have shop air, you can blow air in there. It'll blow all the oil right out, so watch your face. But what I did was I took some shop towels and I twisted them into like a doobie and then I just twisted it down in there, soaked up the oil, and I pull it out and it's good to go. So there's no oil in the holes. It's ready to be torqued. We can put the head on. I brake cleaned the studs, the head bolts. So what I'm going to do is oil the threads and oil the washer and right underneath the head of the bolt, and that way it will be able to smoothly torque down. There won't be no like binding or anything, so I won't get false torque. It will all be perfect. And I have to look up the torque spec for this too, because I don't know it. I don't know the sequence either, so I have to figure that out. But let's put this bitch on. Okay, so the head bolt torque sequence goes from center outward in the circle pattern. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And 3 steps to 60 foot-pounds. So 20, 40, 60. It says 2 to 3, so you can go 30, 60. For more even torque, I'm gonna go 20, 40, 60. So yeah, 3 steps to 60 foot-pounds. Should be good, 20, 40, 60. I'm gonna torque that down. We can move ahead. I really like this torque wrench. It vibrates and lights up and beeps. Awesome. 40, same pattern. And then 60. Same thing, same pattern. I'm gonna go up 5 foot-pounds just for good measure because of this extension. Shouldn't hurt anything, so. Alright, so it's supposed to rain tomorrow, so I'll be back here Thursday, but before I leave today, I want to have the valve cover on so no debris gets in here while it's sitting for a day. I'm just going to put on the exhaust manifold gasket. I'm not going to bolt on the header yet because I don't think I have to do much over here, but I just want to not do that yet. But I'm going to slide on the intake manifold gasket, and I'm going to get basically everything hooked up around the head. So these coolant lines, heater core hoses, this stuff. So all that stuff will get tidied up. I'm gonna do that real quick and then we'll put on the valve cover gasket and I'll probably be out for today. I think I have sunburn. My neck is a little warm. Probably should have took my shirt off, but whatever. It's gonna be great when we have the shop and you don't have to fucking worry about sunburn. So yeah, so I'm gonna put the gaskets on, hook up some of the things. Oh, I did take off the bracket that holds up the manifold because I read that they don't need it. They're just like Hondas. We remove them anyway, so that'll help with changing the oil filter a little easier. It won't spill onto the bracket. Also, putting on and taking off the intake manifold will be a little bit easier. Not that you do that often, but when he goes, if he ever changes to like the Skunk 2 intake manifold for this motor, it'll be just so much simpler. It'll be out of the way already. You won't have to fucking worry about it. And it was 1 bolt, so I just took it off. I'm gonna go ahead and button up the coolant line, slap the gaskets on, put the head valve cover gasket on, and then I'll catch right up. All right, my dudes. So I realized I bought a timing belt component kit, which is the tensioner and the idler pulley, but I don't have them. So I must have left them at the store, or they didn't give them to me. I have to get them tomorrow or Thursday. But I got the valve cover gasket on. I don't have it bolted down, I just have it sitting on it, so really kind of no debris will get into it. But it's gonna be here until Thursday. I'm gonna come back and finish it. Today's Tuesday because it's gonna rain tomorrow. But Thursday's supposed to be nice, so we can get it ironed and finished and get it for that first start. So next clip, we'll be back. Alright, we back. So really all I gotta do is do timing, tighten the exhaust manifold, put the intake manifold on, and the harness, and the coil packs, a radiator, coolant, oil, stuff like that. We also need a belt for the power steering since we deleted the AC. I took the AC off from the brackets and stuff, so we'll need a new belt for that. But when that's ready, we'll try and diameter it out, see what length of belt we need. Alright, I got the rear timing cover on it. I got the cam gears on, the tensioner, and the idler pulley on, and also the spring. I couldn't find like solid enough torque specs, but what I found was these are going to be like around 40 foot-pounds, and then the tensioner and idler pulley bolt are going to be around like 35 foot-pounds. So I'm going to torque them down real quick, then we can start timing the engine. Alright, got the new belt. Does not show a rotation, so I mean it can go either way, direction wise. Like when we were taking it off, we had to line these up. These marks right here, these two will line up with the grooves in this gear and then that gear. So you can see the E here, that'll line up with the E on this gear, and then the I will line up with the I on this gear with that little mark on the cam gear. So we make this thing like bulletproof almost, with timing it anyways. Ah man, talk about harder than expected. So, as you can see, the cams are timed. This mark lines up with that bulge. This mark lines up with that bulge. For these Miatas, the cams are under tension by the springs a little bit, so it's kind of difficult to get the timing to line up. And it's deceiving when you look at the timing marks and the bulges in the rear plate thing. So just take some time, had to watch a couple videos, but it is on time now. So I'm going to torque the tensioner in place, put a little tension on it so it's nice and tight, and then get the covers on and try to button this thing back up. So all right, so we got the water pump pulley on, crank pulley on. I have to Loctite these down, but they're torqued, and I'm gonna start putting on the intake manifold and then getting this thing buttoned up. I'm probably not gonna record most of it, probably just catch up whenever it's all back together. You know how it goes together, it's how it came apart. So I'm gonna put this all together and then we'll catch back up. All right guys, I really don't know where we left off. We were getting pressed for time with the light, and it was supposed to rain today, which is the next day, so we couldn't finish it up today or the rest of the weekend because it's supposed to thunderstorm. So we had to just rough it and get it out through the night, so I couldn't really record much more, but the car is done. Everything is back together. We did have an issue on startup. I had the fuel lines backwards, so the feed was going to the regulator and the return was coming from the line. And I noticed whenever we were trying to start it, it wouldn't start. And as soon as I pulled the feed line off of what was the return line, it started to spray before I even loosened the clamp. Like, as soon as I started to loosen the clamp, it started to spray. So we got that figured out, and it started right up perfectly. We warmed it up, did the heat cycle, turned it off, let it sit, went and got a new battery for it because this battery was toast. And everything is pretty much golden now. So that's pretty much it. I still have to do the brakes on it and the rear diff fluid, but then the car's basically ready for him to drive. Yeah, I'll give it a quick startup for you guys so you can hear it run. You like his gauge cluster? Doge. I'm pretty sure the squeal is because it's an old belt, so we're just gonna have to get a new one. But I gotta figure out a different place to put that so it doesn't rub on the header. But nice and quiet, idles really well. He drove it here last night, so it was like a 35-minute drive plus. It wasn't bad. We do have to get the exhaust sorted out because it's really loud and he wants it to be quieter. So we're gonna probably do a full exhaust on this thing. Probably racing beat, depends on what he wants to spend, but yeah, she runs. Nice and quiet, other than the exhaust, but yeah. That's basically it for this one, guys. Hope to catch you in the next one. stay tuned. We got a lot of things coming. We have the shop now, so we have a lot more space to do stuff, a lot more, you know, concrete space. That way we don't have to worry about nothing. No one telling me we can't do anything. Before I start work, I have a couple things that I have to do over here on the shelf. I have to clean the shelf off, and I kind of want to, I was thinking about building like a little roof, because so like kind of, I think this is all dust from just it sitting, but I'm not sure. We'll see how dusty it gets in here. Hopefully not too dusty, but yeah, so I have to clean this all off, and then we can start working on some other stuff. But that's all for this one, guys. Hope you stay tuned. Check you in the next one. Deuces.